Imagine standing by the roadside, hearing the thunderous roar of a 426 HEMIs charging toward you. And in front of your eyes is a vividly colored machine, its nose long like a jet fighter and a rear wing nearly as tall as an adult's shoulders. This is not some alien race car, but the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, a car born with a single mission: to crush all rivals in NASCAR. In the late 1960s, speed was not just a number on a speedometer, but also a matter of pride for an entire brand. To win, Dodge was willing to break every design convention and create a car that people would either love passionately or see as too crazy to exist. Today, we will explore the Daytona's journey, from bold concept and glorious victories to an enduring legacy. In 1968, Dodge launched the Charger 500 in hopes of improving performance on high-speed oval tracks. This version featured a flush-mounted front end and a more steeply sloped rear window to reduce aerodynamic drag compared to the standard Charger. On paper, these changes could close the gap with rivals. In reality, the results were different. On long oval tracks, the Ford Torino Talladega and Mercury Cyclone spoiler still held the advantage. The speed gap on the straights was enough to decide victories, leaving Dodge stuck in the role of the pursuer. By 1969, NASCAR's tracks had entered what became known as the Aero Wars. This was an unprecedented battle of aerodynamic innovation, with each manufacturer striving to refine airflow for even the slightest speed advantage. In this war, Dodge knew they needed a leap forward and could no longer rely on incremental tweaks like the Charger 500. Chrysler's leadership decided to act. They gathered aerodynamic engineers, drawing inspiration from jet aircraft to design a car unlike anything seen on the track. NASCAR rules required that every race car have a street version with at least 500 units built. This forced Dodge to create a machine that was not only the fastest on the track, but also legal for public roads. The result was the Dodge Charger Daytona, carrying the ambition to shift the balance of power in NASCAR and earn its place in history. When the Daytona project began, Dodge's engineers knew that to beat Ford, they needed a car that was not only faster but also more stable at speeds over 200 miles per hour. The solution started at the front. Instead of the vertical grille of the Charger 500, the Daytona was fitted with an 18-inch long fiberglass nose cone that allowed air to flow more smoothly and significantly reduced the drag coefficient. At the rear, the nearly 23-inch tall wing became the Daytona's signature feature. Its height was not just for downforce on the rear wheels, but also to position it in cleaner airflow above the roofline. This was a bold calculation, optimizing performance while giving the Daytona an unmistakable silhouette. Beyond these standout elements, the bodywork was refined with smaller yet crucial details. Air outlets, wheel arch shapes, and the rounding of the tail were optimized to reduce drag and improve stability in high-speed corners. The exterior styling reinforced the sense that the Daytona was a pure race car even at a standstill. Bold body stripes, prominent Daytona lettering on the rear wing, and vibrant color options made it stand out anywhere. Stepping inside, it is immediately clear this is the cabin of a high-spec Charger RT, as the street-going Daytona was based on that trim. A triple-gauge cluster sits behind the steering wheel, giving the driver clear readouts of speed, RPM, and other vital stats. Vinyl upholstery on the seats and dashboard is well finished, accented by prominent stitching. Front seating came as either a bench or optional buckets, with adjustable headrests, offering comfort even on long drives. Notable amenities included dual-range air conditioning, AM or AM/FM radios, chrome-plated door handles, and manual or optional power windows. For buyers seeking extra sportiness, Dodge offered a wood-rimmed 3-spoke steering wheel and a Hurst T-handle shifter on manual transmission models. Interestingly, while the Daytona was built to win on the track, it still provided a comfortable daily driving experience. This was the factor that allowed the car to meet NASCAR's rules without losing real-world usability. But for the Daytona to be a true threat on the track, its heart had to be powerful enough to fully exploit its aerodynamic advantage. Dodge equipped the Daytona with two of its top V8 engine choices. The most common option was the 440 Magnum's V8, displacing 440 cubic inches, producing 375 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. Known for its durability and smooth operation, this engine was more than capable of pushing the Daytona to high speeds with stability. For speed enthusiasts, the 426 HEMI's V8 was the ultimate choice. Displacing 426 cubic inches, it delivered 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. The HEMI's hemispherical combustion chambers and high-performance components gave it brutal acceleration across the rev range. Buyers could pair these engines with a 4-speed manual using a Hurst shifter for a direct driving feel, or a durable 3-speed torque flight automatic. Rear-wheel drive with a limited slip differential kept the Daytona planted when powering out of high-speed turns. The suspension was tuned for stability at extreme speeds, while optional front disc brakes gave drivers more confidence under hard braking. Everything was optimized to make the Daytona a complete package, ready for the unforgiving world of NASCAR. Its debut, late in the 1969 season, was a shockwave. Driver Charlie Glotzbach immediately exploited its aerodynamic advantage, averaging over 180 miles per hour in the Talladega race. The pinnacle came in March 1970, when Buddy Baker, driving a 426 HEMI's powered Daytona, became the first NASCAR driver to break the 200-mile-per-hour barrier, recording 200.447 miles per hour at Talladega Superspeedway. This was not only a personal milestone, but also proof of the Daytona's absolute engineering supremacy. In the 1969 season, the Daytona won the Talladega 500 and scored multiple top finishes, boosting Dodge's reputation. In 1970, even with limited appearances due to new regulations, the Daytona and its sibling, the Plymouth Superbird, continued to impress with unmatched speed and control. Drivers praised the Daytona not only for its top speed, but also for its stability while cornering at over 190 miles per hour. The combination of rear-wing downforce, aerodynamic nose cone, and the brute force of its V8 engines created an advantage that competitors struggled to match. These achievements forced NASCAR and rival teams to rethink their entire design approach. However, the Daytona's overwhelming superiority was also the reason NASCAR soon changed the rules, ushering in a new era for the sport. To comply with homologation requirements, Dodge had to build a minimum number of street cars. Instead of stopping at the 500-unit threshold, they produced a total of 503 Daytonas for 1969. The production process was unique. The chassis and basic body were assembled at plants in Hamtramck, Michigan, and St. Louis, Missouri. The cars were then sent to Creative Industries in Detroit for installation of the fiberglass nose cone, 23-inch tall rear wing, and other aerodynamic components from the race version. Street models still offered two V8 engine choices: the 440 Magnums, 440 cubic inches, 375 horsepower, 480 pound-feet, or the 426 HEMIs, 426 cubic inches, 425 horsepower, 490 pound-feet. However, exhaust systems, carburetors, and minor adjustments were made to meet road use standards and ensure daily drivability. Exterior options included bold colors like HEMI orange, bright green, and T5 copper, paired with striped graphics and large Daytona lettering on the rear wing. Interiors retained the Charger RT's comforts with air conditioning, radios, and a choice of bench or bucket seats. The presence of these street-going Daytonas not only satisfied rulebook demands, but also gave buyers the chance to own a slice of NASCAR technology. But the story of how the market responded to such a special car was an entirely different matter. With a starting price of about $4,500 in 1969, it was significantly more expensive than many popular muscle cars of the time, which typically ranged from $3,000 to $3,500. This price gap was enough to make many potential buyers hesitate, especially since they saw the Daytona as too specialized for everyday use. Dodge dealers noticed that while many curious visitors came to see the car, most left without buying. Another obstacle was insurance. U.S. insurers at the time began imposing high premiums on high-performance cars, especially those with engines over 400 cubic inches. This pushed the total cost of owning a Daytona well above that of more conventional muscle cars. To boost sales, some dealers marketed the Daytona as a piece of NASCAR you can drive every day, highlighting comfort and durability. However, the campaign wasn't enough to reverse the trend. Many Daytonas sat on dealer lots through the prime sales season, forcing dealers to offer aggressive incentives, even taking older cars in trade for attractive values. Despite its modest sales, the Daytona remained a nightmare for competitors on the racetrack. The power from its 426 and 440 cubic inch engines, combined with its extreme aerodynamic design, allowed it to maintain a dominant edge on high-speed ovals. The gap was so significant that NASCAR was forced to intervene to preserve competitive balance. In 1971, a new rule was introduced. Any car with an unusually tall rear wing or an extreme aerodynamic nose would be limited to a maximum engine displacement of 305 cubic inches. For the Daytona, this meant its entire power advantage was erased, as it had been engineered to fully exploit large displacement V8s. Race teams quickly realized that continuing with winged cars was pointless. Dodge and Plymouth had no reason to keep investing in such costly, complex machines that were only effective on certain high-speed tracks. Within just 2 seasons, the winged car era officially came to an end. However, that short-lived finale only helped turn it into one of the rarest icons in American automotive history. With just 503 units built, the Daytona immediately drew the attention of dedicated speed and collector car enthusiasts. For many years after 1971, the Daytona was still seen by most of the public as simply an odd-looking car. Its collector value hadn't yet exploded, and many were still used as daily drivers. But as the classic muscle car hobby surged in the late 1980s, the Daytona began to be recognized for its true significance. Today, an original Daytona, especially one equipped with the 426 HEMIs, can fetch over $1 million at major auctions. Even 440 Magnums versions can command hundreds of thousands of USD if in excellent condition. Its rarity, iconic design, and deep NASCAR connection have made the Daytona one of the most sought-after muscle cars of all time. Far from being hidden away, Daytonas regularly appear at classic car events, museums, and in films. Each time one rolls out, its tall rear wing and pointed nose evoke memories of an era when automakers were willing to break every boundary to win. The value of the Daytona today is not only measured in dollars, but also in historical meaning. It stands as proof of the power of innovation, a symbol of NASCAR's golden age, and a reminder that sometimes the things that are banned become the ones that live forever. From a car built solely to win on the track, the Dodge Charger Daytona has gone beyond its NASCAR roots to become an irreplaceable icon in American car culture. Produced for just 1 year, it left a lasting mark with its bold design and historic moments of speed. More than half a century later, the Daytona still holds its allure, not only for collectors, but for anyone who loves cars. Every time it appears, it draws attention and sparks curiosity about a daring era in racing. What do you think about this legendary car? If you had the chance, would you take the wheel to fully experience its power and sound? Share your thoughts in the comments, hit like if you enjoyed this story, and don't forget to subscribe for more legendary automotive tales.